In this lesson, you'll learn how role-playing dimensions work in Power BI and why a single dimension, like date table, can represent multiple roles in a data model. We'll explore the challenge of multiple date relationships, understand why only one relationship can be active, and see how to use relationship function in DAX to activate relationships when needed. Let's dive in. Let's see role-playing dimensions. When I go back, I create a new matrix. Let me first explain the problem. I create a matrix. I will go to my calendar. I will drop my date column, and then I will drop my revenue. Okay, let's drop revenue. And when you are using a matrix and you drop a hierarchy, you're also going to get this arrow, which is your drill down, to drill down inside the hierarchy. And by the way, you can also modify this hierarchy by crossing. And again, this is normally that I do. I would just normally remove the quarter and the day. But if it's relevant for your case, just keep it in. I would just normally remove quarter and the day, and I will drill down, right? That's your month on month revenue. This is your month on month, or let's call it revenue by month. Is that correct to say it's revenue by month? Yes, but what month? Is it order month or is it what is the other month? You have order data and ship data or ship month. And that is the confusion when it comes to when you have a role-playing dimension. You have to be more specific and you might need to qualify because now you know as a data modeler that this is revenue by order month because that is the active relationship at the back. What if I want to see revenue by shipment? How will I see that?
Make that relationship active. Ship
Correct.
month.
Make the relationship active. Let me actually go back and make that relationship active. You don't have to do it so you can see the contrast. My revenue will be based on the ship month and your revenue will be based on the order month so you can see the difference. I go back, I have this inactive relationship with ship date. I double click on it. I check box and it says you can't do it because there is already an active relationship. So for me to make this active, I have to first make this one inactive. Oops. I have to first double click, make the active one inactive. Then I go here and I make this active. Okay, correct. And now you can actually see this is revenue by ship month. And it would be different from what you see on the screen if you have not changed the relationship.
Can we
We've got the same. Sorry, I thought we had the same values, but no.
No, it would not be same because now my date table is filtering my sales table through a ship date. And you might, you know, in your business, someone might orders like $10 million of stuff in a month, but not everything is getting shipped in the same month. And especially, my background is in oil and gas and heavy machineries. It would be like 1 year between something that gets ordered and when something gets shipped. Like it can be such a long delta between these two values. This is a very ideal data set. In real life, there would even be a difference between the values itself, like even the totals, because not everything which is ordered is shipped. Not everything which is ordered might actually get canceled. And so you always have that difference between sales by ordered and sales by shipped.
Right.
Yeah, go on.
What if the requirement is by month as well as by ship month?
That is exactly the question, right? I just want to make this
Um,
problem a little bit more obvious. So this is a common data modeling challenge, and we will see some solutions now. Okay, James, you were saying
or
something.
can I propose a solution? And I don't know if that's right or not. Can
Yeah,
we create another table which will have shipment date and then link that to sales?
yeah, that
Uh,
is one solution that you can use. That is definitely one solution that you can use. I would not use that solution until there is a specific reason. There is a better solution for this data, this role-playing dimension that I'm going to propose. Okay, but that is also a solution that you can use. Okay, so what if I want to see revenue by order date and revenue by ship date side by side? I want to see them together. And then I might even want to perform some analysis. I want to see the difference between revenue by order and revenue by ship. And you know, are we lagging behind, or, are things on track? Let's actually do it. First, as you know, in the star schema, you can only have one active relationship. We have already made a decision that that active relationship for us is order date. So I'm going to switch it back to order date. So if you have not already switched it back, switch it back first. So now the active one, oops, click. So order date is the active one. There is a much more sophisticated option using a measure. I can activate an inactive relationship on demand using a special DAX function inside a measure, right? For the rest of the model, as a default, I have an active relationship. Whenever there is a need, I can use a special DAX function to activate the relationship, right? What is that DAX function? It's called use relationship. Very powerful and very important. I can activate an inactive relationship on demand using a special DAX function inside a measure. And now this is the kind of thing you cannot solve with a column anyways. Okay, let's create a measure. I click on these three dots. Yes, Usman.
There is one more question, Adi, and it's bothering me, so I'm just
No,
interrupting
no, go
you.
on.
There's two, when we say new measure, there is new measure icon and there is quick measure. Is there any difference between those two
Yeah,
icons?
there is. So this quick measure, when you click on this quick measure, it basically gives you a drag and drop fields, some important calculations. So when you click on a certain thing, you create here, and it basically helps create a measure for you, right? It
Right.
helps you, and then you now have this Copilot, which allows you to write some English language, and it tries to help you with the measure. So it's more like a drag and drop creation of a measure for you. Okay, so eventually the output would be a measure, but that's really the difference. Cool. Okay, let's create a measure. I can also click on these three dots, and I can create a new measure. See these three dots here? This also gives you an option to create a measure. So let's create a measure. Click, create a measure. And let's say I want revenue by ship date. So I use calculate. Calculate is the most powerful DAX function that you have, and you can actually do a lot of stuff with calculate. I do revenue. I already have a measure for revenue now, comma, use relationship. And here I identify the relationship that I want to make active, correct? Remember, there is a dotted line that already exists between these two data sets. If the dotted line does not exist, this formula will not work. It leverages the inactive relationship. If the inactive relationship does not exist between the table, you cannot use a use relationship formula. Tick, and then I can just drop it. Now you can see revenue by order date, which is your normal revenue. It gives you revenue by order date. And then you can see revenue by ship date. How can you format a measure? Exactly how you would format a column. You click on a measure, and on the top, it gives you measure tools. And inside measure tools, you have this option, right? So here I would just put 1 because these are too many decimal points.
And if we had the other way around,
Mhm.
we just had to replace sales ship date with sales order date. If it was the other way around, meaning if the ship order date was active and the other one was inactive.
Correct.
The formula.
If the ship date was active, correct, then you could have reversed the you could have used an order date here, right? You can just use order date here. Let me show you one more thing, Usman. See this? See this revenue? It is coming from this column that we have created. You can also double click and you can say revenue by order date. You can rename a column or a measure at the visual level, but at the model level, it will remain the same, right? This is model and this is visual level. So you can see the contrast now. You can do that. You can rename a measure or a calculated column or any column for that matter at a visual level, but at the model level, it will remain the same. See this? So give me a thumbs up if this is working and it does make sense. Use relationship. allows you to activate and leverage this inactive relationship on demand when you want to use it. Overall, for the model, the default active relationship is with an active, and then you can activate it on demand. Okay, and then I can convert it and I can actually see the differences. That's option number one. Option number two is something that Usman was suggesting, which is, see this calendar table that I have. I can create a copy of this table. I can duplicate a calendar table and I can call it ship calendar, right? And then from the ship calendar, I can have an active relationship with the ship date. So I have two calendar table with two active relationships.
Can we copy and paste just like that?
Yeah, it's very easy. It's very easy to duplicate a date table, which is I go inside the table view, I click on the home tab, I click on new table, and I will just type calendar here. As soon as I type calendar, it just duplicates my table. Okay, so it's pretty easy to duplicate a table, but please know that it will take RAM, it will take space, and it might make, if this is the option that you use a lot, it will make your data model very noisy, right? You will have too many tables. I call it ship calendar. And then I can go inside the data model and I will connect this date field with ship date, right? I have two tables, both has an active relationship with two different date fields. Now imagine if you have 10 fields and you create 10 different date tables, it becomes a problem. Let's see. When I go back, I create a new matrix, correct? And I use my ship calendar. I bring my date field from the ship calendar and I bring my revenue. See this, correct? Your normal revenue column gives you output of a ship date. When I use my date column from the ship calendar, my normal revenue column or my normal revenue measure will give me the same output that I created using a measure. So this date is coming from here, right? And my revenue coming from here. Your normal revenue column gives you an output similar to the one that we created using a measure, correct? You can actually see it. So we have two options. Option number one is DAX is a measure using DAX function called use relationship. And we have another, which is you duplicate the calendar table and create an active. What is a pro and con of both these options? Because both the options has a pro and con. Let's understand the pro and con so you know which option to choose in what scenario. What is the benefit of this solution if we use a measure instead of creating a table?
The measure seems cleaner, like less tables.
Correct. Yeah. Cleaner, less table, which is better performance, less storage, less noisier model. But there is one more thing, which is this. See, I can actually place both the measures side by side inside the same visual. You cannot do it if it's coming from two different tables. Does this point make sense? I can put both these measures, revenue by order date and revenue by ship date, inside the same visual because this field is actually coming from the same table. You cannot do it if it is coming from two different tables. You can perform cross comparisons, right? Does this point make sense? What is the disadvantage? Is there a disadvantage of this option? Imagine you have revenue, COGS, profit margin, and you have like 50 calculations. If you want to convert all those calculations to reference a ship date, you have to create 20 more calculations. You have to create quite a lot of calculations if you have an important date field. Correct? Does it make sense? But on the other side, if you look here, right, what is the advantage here? You can reuse. If you have like 20 calculations, you can just reuse all these calculations by creating the link. But then you kind of see the disadvantage, which is more tables, RAM, noisy, and you cannot place them inside a single visual. You can see pros and cons of both the solutions. How do I make a decision? And by the way, this is like my personal view, and I'm not sure, how does it work in broader industry. So Let's say I have 10 different date fields, right? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And by the way, this is not uncommon to have 10 different date fields inside a data model. I'm going to pick top two or top three. For top two and top three, I'm going to create a separate date table. So I don't have to recreate quite a lot of calculations. For the rest of them, so which means something like this. But for rest of them, I'm going to go with it. Yeah, I don't want to recreate the tables. So you can pick and choose the option. So you can use like a combination of both the solution as your model keeps on growing and keeps on becoming more and more complex. By the way, date is not the only dimension that can play multiple roles. What are the other dimensions that can play multiple roles? Another common one is location.
Categories.
Categories, no, not categories actually, locations. So categories is more generic, but think about location or address. You can have address of a client, you can have address of an employee, you can have address of the warehouse, you can have address of a supplier. So address can also play multiple roles. Even your employees can play multiple roles. You know, your salesperson can actually be a sales manager too. As a salesperson, they might have a personal sales target, and as a sales manager, that might have that person might have the target of the team that they are managing. So it's a very common scenario that plays across multiple dimensions. Date is a common one, but you can use the same solution when it happens. Okay, so save your file,